and welcome to tonight's celebration of 40 years of Milkweed Editions. My name is Michael Kleber Diggs. My debut poetry collection, Worldly Things, won the 2020 Max Britvo Poetry Prize and was published by Milkweed in June of this year. For me, having a book published by Milkweed was a career-defining moment. Milkweed is, for me and for many writers, a dream publisher. Working with the team at Milkweed to edit my manuscript, build the book itself, and make all the thoughtful design decisions that went into making the book a beautiful object, partnering with marketing and publicity team members to promote the book. All of these things have increased my already high opinion of Milkweed. The team at Milkweed is talented, dedicated, and professional, and they love books like all of us do. Which is why we're gathered here tonight, to celebrate books and to celebrate Milkweed Editions, a vibrant and essential nonprofit independent publisher. My story and the story of so many writers who are published by Milkweed illustrates the importance of independent publishers. The path to publication can be difficult and it can take many different forms. Milkweed plays a vital role in helping poets like me find a home for their first book by administering contests like the highly regarded Max Britvo Poetry Prize. Because of the support of a generous community of booksellers, librarians, and reviewers, and people who love literature, Milkweed is also able to invest in writers of great talent, sometimes working with them over a term of years to help them and their books fulfill their promise. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who makes Milkweed possible. Writers, readers, current and past board members, booksellers, librarians, and teachers. Special thanks to everyone in the community who donates to Milkweed. Milkweed's donors make it possible for them to publish with mission rather than profits guiding their work. Thank you for being here for tonight's celebration. We honor and recognize Milkweed Editions and 40 great years of important work. Here's to 40 more.
"40 years ago, New York publishing houses were merging and consolidating into publishing empires. In response, new journals and presses sprang up around the country. One of these was a nonprofit journal of literature and visual arts called Milkweed Chronicle, founded by an artist, Randy Scholes, and a writer-editor, Emily Buchwald. The journal grew and flourished. By the time we phased it out after 7 years to concentrate on books, the Chronicle had published over 1,000 essays, poems, works of fiction, and a variety of art, many of them first publication credits. A new book, Milkweed Chronicle, The Formative Years of a Literary Nonprofit Press, tells the story of the journal, how it morphed into the literary nonprofit press, Milkweed Editions. We continued the traditions that made the journal successful. We welcomed new and emerging writers. We looked for vigorous individual voices to make books that would be as relevant and rewarding to read in the future as they had been on the day of publication. We made beautiful, well-designed books. We kept our books in print, giving them time to find an audience. We hewed to the mission. Milkweed Editions publishes transformative literature with the intention of making a humane impact on society. We acquired books because they fulfilled the mission rather than on the basis of their sales potential. Sometimes we published books rejected by mainstream New York publishers and made them award-winning Milkweed successes, like the brilliant Literary Western, Montana, 1948, by Larry Watson. Like the stunning, heartbreaking classic, Cracking India, by Bapsi Sidhwa. After we published 2 more of her books, the New York Times wrote glowingly of Sidhwa as Pakistan's finest English language novelist. We broke new ground and gained new audiences with our program of nonfiction books about the natural world and the environment. One of those books, Testimony, played a crucial role in the passage of a bill protecting 1 million acres of wild land. We published our first book in 1984. When I retired as Milkweed's publisher in 2003, Milkweed Books had received more than 200 awards, prizes, and recognition, with 1 million Milkweed books in circulation. And now, 16 years later, under the leadership of Daniel Slager, that impressive number of books in circulation has more than tripled. Milkweed's beautiful books, publishing programs, and sales have also significantly multiplied, as have its major awards. On this 40th anniversary, I take pleasure in saluting today's dynamic Milkweed editions.
Hi, my name is Rob. I live in Western Massachusetts. And when I saw the email for asking readers to suggest their favorite Milkweed title, I thought, well, that's easy. And then I went through my shelves and I realized that so many Milkweed books are really exceptional. I think what I continue to come to their books because the editorial vision always surprises me. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to suggest 2 books. This is a New York Times columnist, The Late Migrations. I had read some of her essays and op-ed pieces in the Times and really liked them. And then I discovered this book and it was really amazing. And then one of my all-time favorite poets, Ada Limon, has continued to stay with Milkweed. And I was thrilled to see that they have a notebook of her poetry coming out in the spring of 2022. I think what I really love about the books, and especially their use of poetry, is they always give you a teaser. You know, on the inside of the flat front copy is one of the poems, and you can immediately kind of get a sense of what the writer's trying to do in the book. And I definitely would recommend any of the books by Ada Limon. Great publisher. Congratulations on your anniversary.
This is Veena, and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. There are so many books from Milkweed that I've enjoyed and learned from over the years. The one that stays, however, with me is Elizabeth Rush's book, Rising: Dispatches from the New American Shore. It's not only a beautifully written book, it's a beautiful book with all its photographic evidence, but the writing is stunningly beautiful also. And I remember most Rush's attention to language and boldly naming the issues of climate change and rising sea levels along the US coasts. What stays even longer with me is the compassionate portrayal of and haunting stories of people living in the margins and the borderlands, facing the greatest of disasters and with very little help. This book offers me knowledge, great research, narratives of compassion, and a desire to do something in whatever way I can to help. So thank you, Milkweed, and thank you, Elizabeth Rush.
Hello, my name is Jaja Wu, and I live in Issaquah, Washington. And one of my favorite Milkweed books is Braiding Sweetgrass. And the reason I love it is because it is so dense with plant lore and knowledge, and really shows a side of the American ecology in a poetic and beautiful way, and really stretches across time and spaces to show us what this land does hold. And I also love it because it talks about motherhood in a very special way that's connected to nature. So thank you so much for publishing Braiding Sweetgrass.
Hi, my name is Courtney and I live in Hopkins, Minnesota. My favorite Milkweed book is their republish of David Rhodes' first novel. It's called The Last Fair Deal Going Down, and it is just this really edgy and bizarre examination of the conflict between city life and rural life. It's gruesome and strange, and I love it.
Soon after moving to Minneapolis from New York City to take the helm here as editor-in-chief, I came to understand that while many ingredients had been essential to the organization's growth, a visionary founding publisher, highly committed staff and board of directors, a distinguished list of books, it was, and it still is, our community of supporters that makes it possible for us to lead with mission and values at the center of everything we do. This support impacts every element of what we do. We are empowered to take chances on original writers who would have been rejected or overlooked by commercial publishers. We're empowered to work collaboratively with writers to develop their manuscripts, often over many years. And we're empowered to promote our authors and their work in increasingly innovative ways, engaging communities in the kinds of conversations engendered uniquely by literature. We're very good at marketing and selling books. And because most readers who engage with one of our books has bought a copy, we view sales as an important measure of success for our organization, just as royalties are an important source of income for our authors. The simple truth is that we would not be able to do what we do without philanthropic support. Over the past 15 years, we have deepened our commitment to publishing transformative literature, literature that has the power to change the way we see and live in the world. And we have reached new heights along the way, with 2 of our titles reaching the New York Times bestseller list in 2020 and finalists for the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award in the last 5 years. We've also used this moment of organizational opportunity to launch several new initiatives. In 2018, with the publication of Michael Bazet's translation of the Mayan creation story, The Popol Vuh, we introduced a new series of books called Seed Bank. Just as seed banks collect seeds in order to protect biodiversity in a time when it is in precipitous decline, the Seed Bank series includes works of literature from cultures around the world, literature exploring place and our relationship to the more than human world, to American readers. With an emphasis on literature from endangered indigenous cultures, our aim with this series is to preserve cultural diversity and introduce readers to different ways of understanding ourselves in relation to the world around us. And then in 2019, animated by an organizational commitment to equity, we established the Milkweed Fellowship Program, opening doors to individuals from communities that have been historically underrepresented in the publishing field. Our goal with this initiative is threefold: providing mentorship opportunities, expanding the range of perspectives within our organization, and seeding change in our field as Milkweed Fellows leave our program and go on to become editors, marketing professionals, book designers, fundraising professionals, and publishers. This is a profoundly exciting time for our organization, one in which we are seizing the opportunity to align everything we do with our values and to expand our vision for the impact we have in the world.
Happy anniversary, Milkweed. I am so grateful for all that you do. And of course, you've done a lot for me. You published 3 of my books. I started with you in 2001 with Writing the Sacred into the Real, that amazing Credo series that was curated by Scott Slovic. And then the anthology I did with Laurette Savoy in 2011, The Colors of Nature, trying to excite some interest in having a more diverse chorus of voices speaking about environment and culture and the relationships between the two. And then my book, Zoologies, that came out from Milkweed. So I'm personally grateful as an author, but as a reader, I love you, Milkweed. So many of my favorite authors who've done such important work, and more recently, such exciting surprises that you've brought to the world that really matter. Robin Kimmerer, Kazim Ali, Dan Beachy Quick, and the amazing Seed Bank series with Michael Bazat's Popol Vuh starting it off, which was incredible. So congratulations, happy anniversary. Please keep surprising us with beauty, challenging thought, and complex ideas that make life seem necessary, important, and something that we can all put our voices together to make more resonant, more just, more kind. I love you, Milkweed. Thank you.
Happy 40th anniversary, Milkweed, or as I like to say, welcome to the fourth floor. I have to first say the thing I'm most grateful for with Milkweed is what it offers everyone as readers. Though I'm a Milkweed author, I came to Milkweed first as a reader for their electric, exciting catalog, like everything from beautiful artifacts of the books, the covers, the energy behind the presentation of the books, to the content, which is what everyone loves about Milkweed, which is, books that take chances, that have authors who don't pull punches, that try to see and re-see the world in a new way. I feel like that's only possible if it's celebrated by the group of people who run Milkweed and make it happen. And I feel extremely grateful for everybody who's involved in the process. And as a Milkweed author, I can't thank everyone enough and honor Milkweed enough as being such a special press that trusts its authors, that wants to showcase the individuality of their authors and really celebrate books for the kind of unique gems that each of them are. So thank you to Milkweed. Happy 40th anniversary. And I think we're going to age old together. I'm feeling like a little bit reflective here. So hope to see you when we're both 80 or 90, Milkweed. Hope everyone enjoys this celebratory year.
Hello. When I think of Milkweed, I'm grateful for transformational books that I've been able to share with my students. I've used Braiding Sweetgrass and Rising and Zoologies in my environmental literature class, The Individual in Nature, and they're truly transformational for my students. I'm also grateful for the poetry community that they've cultivated, particularly over the last decade. In terms of what I'd hope for the future, it's just absolutely keep doing what you're doing. It's working, and keep growing, keep listening, keep nurturing, and happy 40th. My 40s were my best decade, thus far. I mean, I'm 55, so maybe they'll close it out. But happy 40th.
Thank you so much to Milkweed Editions for taking a chance on me and my vision to bring the book of my dreams into the world. I honestly can't imagine my book in the hands of any other publisher. Everyone at Milkweed has been so generous with their time, energy, brilliance, and love to nurture me as a debut author, and I'm a forever fan. I hope for a long and prosperous future for Milkweed so that they can continue to bring us transformative literature that illuminates and challenges us to be better for and with each other. Happy 40th anniversary to Milkweed Editions. Thank you for being awesome, and cheers to another incredible 40 years.
Hi, this is Ada Limon, and I am so grateful for Milkweed Editions for so many reasons, but the most important being that they don't just produce work that is beautiful and popular, but work that is important, necessary, and essential to human flourishing. Secondly, what I hope for milkweed going forward is that they can operate with even more abundance to support more new authors and keep the good work going. And lastly, I poured myself a glass of wine so I could say happy 40th anniversary Milkweed Editions. 40 looks good on you. Keep it going.
Hey Milkweed, it's Chris Dombrowski. I'm out here in my work shed in Missoula, Montana, and I just wanted to wish everyone back at the shop a happy 40th anniversary. Oh man, when I think about milkweed, I am forever grateful for the indelible literature that you guys have produced over the years. When I reach onto my shelf and I see the old magical butterfly at the bottom of the spine of a book, I know I'm going to encounter a voice and a vision that is singular and something I can't find otherwise in the publishing world. I'm also grateful, of course, for the incredible work that you guys did on my first book, Body of Water, and on this new forthcoming book of nonfiction as well. The editorial work that folks like Daniel and Joey and the rest of the staff have put in to my words is something that I will forever be grateful for. So when I look forward to the future of milkweed, I look forward to knowing that you guys will continue to find new voices and tease out their genius, their individual genius, as Whitman said, and I'll be there ready to listen and support those works as well. So thanks so much. Happy 40th to everybody, and thanks to everyone who supports milkweed.
We live in an increasingly multicultural world, and yet racial, cultural, economic, and political divides seem to be widening. Disinformation is overwhelming, and the way we live on Earth is not sustainable. In this broad context, we feel strongly that literature has a powerful role to play in shaping a better future. Literature connects us to other cultures, illuminates the human experience, and fosters empathy and appreciation for difference. Stories make meaning of our lives. They influence how we move through the world and help us grapple with the ethical challenges of our time. Our mission at Milkweed Editions is to identify, nurture, and publish transformative literature and build an engaged community around it. Looking forward, we envision a future in which we continue to push the boundaries of what it means to be a publisher, publishing books in multiple formats, ebooks, audiobooks, as well as printed books that are produced beautifully and sustainably, and reaching readers around the world through multiple channels. We are committed to expanding the impact of our work dramatically, working with more writers to launch new books into the world, redefining what it means to engage readers meaningfully with literature, and reaching new and historically underserved communities with the books we publish, books that have the power to change the way we see and live in the world. Thank you to every member of the Milkweed community, our writers, readers of the books we publish, donors, booksellers, librarians, teachers, and students. With your support, the future of Milkweed Editions is bright.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I run our fundraising program here at Milkweed. As with public radio, public television, and your favorite theaters and museums, Milkweed relies on the support of our community. I'm asking you to be a part of Milkweed's future by giving a special donation tonight. Your gift will be invested in the next 40 books and writers published by Milkweed. It's your support that makes it possible for us to publish with values rather than profits guiding our decisions. We value debut writers and their groundbreaking work, and we take on projects that commercial publishers may deem risky or unmarketable. We value personal connections, bringing together authors and students to inspire our future writers, activists, readers, and curious, compassionate human beings. We value collaboration and long-term relationships, providing writers the time and resources they need to develop their books to their fullest potential. We value beautiful, ecologically minded bookmaking and working with visual artists to illuminate the unique stories, knowledge, or lyrics within each book. We value accessibility, getting Milkweed books into the hands of readers who might not otherwise have access to them. And we value expanding audiences for the books we publish and are committed to making them increasingly available in a variety of formats. Milkweed's board of directors has come together to generously donate $40,000 in honor of our 40th anniversary to support Milkweed's unique way of publishing. They invite you to join them in investing in the future of Milkweed Editions with your own donation tonight. We are grateful for every single gift, be it $5 or $5,000. Together, your gifts make Milkweed Editions possible. Thank you. We'll come back together in 30 seconds to hear from tonight's featured writers. Joining us from Schaefer, Minnesota is Diane Wilson, author of the new novel, The Seed Keeper, which has been called a can't-miss book by The Observer and a most anticipated read of 2021 by Ms. Magazine. Diane is also the author of 2 works of nonfiction, Spirit Car, Journey to a Dakota Past, and Beloved Child, A Dakota Way of Life. In addition to her work as a writer, Diane is the former executive director of the Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance, a national coalition of tribes and organizations working to create sovereign food systems for Native people. Diane, thank you so much for being with us this evening to celebrate 40 years of Milkweed Editions.
Thank you, Megan. Halmatakiapi, Ampetukinde Iushkian Wachiankapia, Diane Wilson Namakiapia, Bedewakantuan Oyate Hamatahaya, Sichango Uyate Ed Omawapia. So hello, all my relatives. It's really good to be here tonight. My name's Diane Wilson. I am a Bedewakantuan descendant, and I'm enrolled on the Rosebud Reservation. And I'm so grateful to Milkweed for inviting me to be part of this event.
Diane, I want to just start by asking, how did the Seed Keeper come to be?
Well, it's been a long process that goes back about 20 years. I'm also a gardener. And I heard about these old seeds, old rare tribal seeds that were being grown out in a tiny little garden in Farmington. And so I immediately got involved. I felt like, in a way, those seeds were calling me to be part of the work that they were doing. And some of them were incredibly rare. They had almost disappeared. There was Cherokee Trail of Tears corn. There was tobacco that was 800 years old. And so as a gardener and as a writer, I was just fascinated by the stories that these seeds were carrying. And shortly after I got involved in that work, I also heard a story of the Dakota women who, just before they were being removed from the state of Minnesota after the 1862 Dakota War, they were so concerned about where they were going and how they would feed their families that they hid their seeds in the hems of their skirts and in their pockets so that they made sure that we would have those seeds today. And it was that story that stayed with me. And over the next years, then I was also working for Native organizations that were working to protect and return these seeds to communities. And so this book is really the culmination of all of those experiences and stories. So it's a way for me to share what I've learned from the elders that I've worked with, from the organizations, the families, and also the seeds themselves. So it's a way to give back some of that knowledge to the communities for whom those seeds belong.
It's amazing to hear about everything that went into your book, and we're so honored to be your publisher, the publisher of this project. But I want to ask, why did you decide to come and work with Milkweed?
You know, this is one of my favorite questions, I have to say, because Milkweed, even when I was just first starting this book, Milkweed was my dream publisher. Milkweed was the place where I thought, this is where the book belongs. And because of your commitment to literature that also that embraces the questions around environment, it's that commitment to taking care of the earth, as well as high quality literature that made me believe that Milkweed would be the absolute best place for my book. I also have the highest respect for some of the authors that you've already published, especially in particular Robin Wall Kimmerer and the work that she's done with Braiding Sweetgrass. Also, Richard Wagamese and Susan Power are among some of my favorite authors. I wanted to publish with Milkweed because I knew it would give me a platform for having a conversation on a broader scale about issues that I really cared about. But also as a writer, I knew that the quality of work that Milkweed was publishing would mean that my story, my book would be in actually the best possible hands. So that opportunity to be part of a broader national conversation around one of the most important issues that I think we're facing today, which is our relationship with the earth. And even from my first meeting with Joey McGarvey, who ended up being my editor on the book, from that moment on, it was just such a deep and rewarding relationship that Joey took such care and brought such a vision to the work that I was trying to do, that it really made sure that my work became this, it realized the vision that I had for it. So I'm incredibly grateful to the entire staff of Milkweed, who have been from day one incredibly supportive, extremely talented and conscientious. And I feel like thanks to this incredible experience with Milkweed that we have realized and beyond my vision for this book.
Diane, we're so grateful that you trusted us with your work. And you talk about your book in the context of larger cultural conversations that we're having. So I want to ask in general, what role do you feel that books are playing in our world right now?
Well, I have to say for myself, when I get up in the morning, I watch the news, and every day I feel like I'm assaulted with really catastrophic, apocalyptic news about the climate, about politics, about the fractions between the schisms between our communities. And I have to say that at the end of the news programs, I often feel overwhelmed and full of despair about what we can do, what I can do about any of these issues. And at the same time, doing the work of publishing books helps remind us of stories that the media really doesn't pay attention to, which is the work that all of us can be doing as individuals, the transformative power that stories have to help us believe in a different kind of future. And I think sometimes when we're overwhelmed with that kind of catastrophic news, it's easy to give up. And at the same time, there are things that we can be doing always. There are small changes that we can do that make a difference. And so publishing a book like The Seed Keeper is a reminder that our relationship with seeds and plants and the earth, these are relationships that help us remember what it means to fall back in love with the earth. And to me, that's where the work around climate change starts. And this is something that as human beings, our societies have in some ways moved away from or forgotten, and that we need to return to that kind of deep, hopeful, caring relationship with the earth in order to turn around these broader global trends that are threatening the earth itself. So I feel like publishing books, especially the books that Milkweed has supported for the past 40 years, that this is work that is truly transformative in terms of creating a future that is hopeful for our children.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you for everything you do and for joining us this evening. Joining us now from Los Angeles, California is celebrated poet and writer Victoria Chang. Victoria is the author of Dear Memory, Letters on Writing, Silence, and Grief, a unique and moving book that offers a model for what it looks like to find ourselves in our histories. It was published just last month to wide acclaim and named most anticipated book of fall by Time Magazine and the Los Angeles Times. Victoria is also the author of 5 collections of poems, a middle grade novel, and a children's picture book, an inspiring body of work. Victoria, thank you for being with us to celebrate Milkweed's 40th anniversary. My first question for you is, what inspired you to write Dear Memory?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And, originally I had written this book of elegies called Obit when my mother passed away, and sort of vowed never to write about that kind of material again. And then one day I had to go clean out a long awaiting storage facility of my parents. And I found all of these boxes, and I never really spent a lot of time looking through them. Everybody's so busy, and there are all these papers and letters and birth certificates and all sorts of interesting documents that I'd never really paid attention to. And something about those documents just made me have all these questions. And I think all of us probably have a lot of questions about where we came from, who our ancestors are. We only live for a tiny period of time, so we can only know a little bit behind us. And then what's a little bit behind us, we still don't know. So that kind of launched all these things that kind of popped into my head. And one day I started writing a letter to my mother, and it was just one letter. And then I just wrote more letters. And eventually that book became Dear Memory.
Well, the result is such an original and meaningful book. So thank you. And thank you for entrusting us with it. In general, you're such a well-published writer. So I wanted to ask and get your opinion on why you feel books matter in our world today.
I sometimes feel like the only thing that matters are books. And I know that's a strange thing to say, but I was talking to a friend the other day who's writing a keynote, and we were talking about sort of the healing process or the healing ability of poetry, and can poetry heal like a doctor or a therapist? And I was like, absolutely, yes. And then we started to talk about why. And I think the why is a little bit harder to answer, but it just does. I mean, some things I feel like don't need an answer. And the answer would be, here is a poem. Here is a book of essays. Here is a novel. And that is the answer. And I don't think I need to answer how it heals. It just does.
Books heal. I'm thinking about that. Maybe we make that Milkweed's new tagline. Victoria, it has been wonderful to have you with us tonight. I just wanted to ask in closing if you would be willing to share a little bit about what you are working on right now.
Yeah, I mean, actually just before this, I was working on some new poems, and I think I've been writing now for about 45 days straight or something like that. So I started writing at kind of a difficult point in my life, where I felt like going back to sort of the healing process of reading. I think writing for a lot of writers is a very much part of our fabric. It's no different than water, than air, than light. We need it to survive. And that was about 40 or 45 days ago. I decided, okay, something is not working. I need to sit down and write. And since then, I felt so much better, so much healthier, and mentally healthier. And so I'm working on all these poems that are based on some art, visual art, which has always been an interest of mine. And I don't want to say too much more because then I'm going to jinx it, right? So that's what I'm working on, some poems.
Well, we can't wait to see what comes of it. And thank you again for being with us to celebrate this evening.
Hi, my name is Jean. I live in Minneapolis, and I'd like to share one of my favorite milkweed books, Bill Holmes' Box Elderbug Variations, published in 1985. It's one of my favorite books because from the cosmos to the desert, box elderbugs are contemplated and celebrated. Poetic variations come in the form of haiku after basho, poems in the form of Emily Dickinson and her dashes, church sermons, cafe menus, thoughts set to music, and even a brief interview with a biologist. But what the book comes down to for me is having the ears to listen, to hear and discover the sublime and how apparent it is in the unpretentious.
Hi, my name's Kathy Kenny, and I'm a Minnesota writer who lives in Winona, Minnesota. And my favorite Milkweed Editions book is Faith Sullivan's Goodnight, Mr. Woodhouse. There is such an honest exploration of humanity on every single page of this novel, along with Faith's very pithy humor and wit. She is a delightful person that I've had the honor to meet on several occasions. And just the notion of creating a character who gains comfort and joy from reading and from the books of an author like P.G. Woodhouse is a totally brilliant idea, and just very affirming for all of us who have a favorite author who we read over and over again to receive comfort and joy. I think it's a perfect novel. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Leaf, and I live in Maple Nation, and that's southwestern New Hampshire, but really it's where the maples are predominant. And my favorite Milkwood book is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And I also love Diary of a Young Naturalist and many other books, but Braiding Sweetgrass for me is my favorite because it reminds us that we don't just belong to the earth, we are the earth. And there's so much wisdom and grace and beauty in this book, as in so many Milkwood editions. So I'm just super grateful to be part of it. Thanks for letting me share my pleasure at your wonderful book.
Before I introduce our last writer to close out tonight's event, I want to thank you again for being with us to celebrate 40 years. Your donations, as well as the proceeds from the art auction, will invest in the next 40 books and writers published by Milkweed. We look forward to sharing news of these projects with you as we head into our 41st year. With your support, the future of Milkweed is bright. And now it is my honor to introduce Amy Nezuka-Matado, who is joining us from her home in Oxford, Mississippi. Amy is the author of World of Wonders in Praise of Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments, the gorgeous illustrated essay collection that was named the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year for 2020 and debuted at number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. Amy is also the author of 4 books of poetry and is a professor of English and creative writing in the University of Mississippi's MFA program. I would highly recommend following Amy on Instagram for a daily dose of joy and wonder. Amy, thank you for all that you do and for being with us tonight to celebrate 40 years of Milkweed Editions.
Thank you so much, Megan. It's such an honor to be here celebrating one of the greatest presses in the country. I'm just so sad that we can't all be together and dine a little bit. But I hope soon, I hope next year we can all be together. I hope in years to come we'll be in each other's presence more often. But what I wanted to do here for just a brief little moment is I wanted to challenge you all. I wanted to challenge you to help make literature that reflects a more tender and a just world that reflects the world you'd like to cultivate. Help Milkweed bring subjects that make you curious and excited to learn so much that you wait for it, actually smile while you finish reading a book. And what an extraordinary gift that is, to spend your time reading and remembering what it was like when you were 3 or 4 years old and exclaiming, "Look, look," letting yourself be astonished. I dare you to be astonished again. Give yourself permission to be curious, to not be walking to and from your day's work just plugged in and staring at a screen. Because when wonder is a practice, you feel less alone. When wonder is a practice, you feel less alone. A single firefly might be the spark that sends us back to our grandmother's backyard to listen for whippoorwills. It might be the spark that sends us back to splashing in an ice-cold creek bed with our jeans rolled up to our knees until we shudder and gasp, our toes fully wrinkled. In that spark is a slowdown and a tenderness. And perhaps that spark can light a path to remind ourselves, if we let ourselves be astonished by a range of voices, if you remember and relearn what it is to wonder, we set the groundwork for cultivating a more tender and just world. Simply put, if you remember what it is to be curious about the world, about others, you will never feel bored or lonely on this planet. I promise you. Now here it is. The world is full of wonders. All you have to do is just remember what it's like to let yourself be astonished. Milkweed helps you be hungry for knowledge. Milkweed helps you stay curious. Thank you.